Cliff at Lyons in Kildare and Cliff House Hotel in Waterford. Exceptional overnight dining and spa experiences. See cliff.ie.
Shop last minute gifts with all Harvey Norman stores open until 10 p.m. tonight.
Relax this evening and visit itsforwomen.ie. Great value car insurance for those on the go. Get the cover you need day or night at itsforwomen.ie. It's time to own it.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Jeff and Heskey.
You're welcome back. It is Off the Ball's Decade in a Day. Coming up after 8, we'll be looking back at some of the funniest moments on Off the Ball over the last decade. And then from 9, we will bring you the crappy quiz. But it is 7:30, so as always, we will talk to John Giles. Evening, John.
Evening, Nathan.
So I say we've been looking back on the last decade. We've been talking a lot about football, about the Premier League and Sergio Aguero's last-minute goal, Leicester winning the title, Steven Gerrard slipping, and looking at it from an international point of view as well. And for the Republic of Ireland, it feels like there was only a couple of moments, if anything. Shane Long's goal, Robbie Brady's goal. Is there much else that stands out for you?
Well, I like James McLean's goal, Nathan.
In Cardiff.
Against Wales, yeah. Because, I mean, when you talk about the goals, you can see some spectacular goals, which are great goals. But I'd be concentrating on the really important ones. You know, I'm not saying it wasn't great. Shane Long took his goal brilliantly, and so did McLean. But there were matches that when you look back on it, Nathan, we had to win. So they were really, really important goals for us in those particular matches.
From a Premier League point of view, Aguero's goal feels like a long time ago now. I guess the drama of it was so key, considering they were 2-1 down entering injury time, and it sort of sparks this decade where Manchester City probably become the dominant force in English football. Well,
it was a big one. So was Company's last season, Nathan. I mean, it was a big help to win the league for them, as we know. But I think Aguero's was probably more dramatic because it came so late in the game. And Manchester United looked like they'd had it won. So, again, an important goal. When it helps to win the league, they're important goals. Yeah. And they're big goals to look back on, Nathan. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, Leicester is the one, I guess, that even in 50 years' time, people will be talking about when we think about this decade.
Well, what a goal. And as we know, the race for the Premiership last year was incredible. With Liverpool and Manchester City. When you think about it, Manchester City, what was it, 9, 10, 11, 12 matches or something, they couldn't afford to drop a point, Nathan. And that night, Leicester were playing well. As we know, they're a good team, and they certainly weren't making it easy for Manchester City. And Company to come up with the goal that he did was incredible, because I remember watching the match and thinking, oh, he's not going to shoot from there. In fact, I think Ferrandinho was saying, don't shoot, because he was a long way out, as we know, and hit it perfectly to win the match, because they didn't look like winning the game on that particular evening.
No, and obviously it was the key goal then as they went on and won the title. Looking more present day then, and what's happening in the Premier League at the moment, obviously there's some managerial changes afoot and about to be confirmed. Carlo Ancelotti going in at Everton, and Mikel Arteta, it seems, about to be confirmed as the new Arsenal manager. Arteta first obviously has the link with the club, has served his time under Pep Guardiola as an assistant at a hugely successful Manchester City side. Do you look at Arteta and think he's ready for a job like this?
Well, it's impossible to know, Nathan. You know, I think if he's going to be a manager, then this is as good an opportunity as any. You know, you hear a lot of people saying, well, you're better starting down below and then work your way up. I don't believe in that. I mean, the further down you go, the less good players you have. I think in Arsenal's case, obviously they're going through a dreadful spell. You know, last week in the match against Manchester City, they were dreadful. I don't think it's necessarily experience. I think if you have it, you have it. In Arteta's case, you know, he's been with Guardiola for a few seasons, but I find that, you know, you make your own way of management. I think he can learn. He can learn from Guardiola, but he won't be a Guardiola. He has to be what he is himself, Nathan. So he has a background. He played for Arsenal, and we'll only know in time whether these things really matter or not. But he's got a big job to do, as we know. But there again, they wouldn't want him if they were going well.
Exactly.
You know, if a team's going well, they're not going to change the manager. So I hear a lot of people, well, it's a difficult job to take on. Well, it is, but it wasn't. If they were doing well, they wouldn't want him in the first place. So I think it's up to him to do it. I think he would want to get the conditions that Imre didn't have, in my opinion. In other words, who bought Pepe for 70 million? Was it Emery? Was it the director of football? Was it the directors? Was it the owners? We don't know. So I think Arteta will have to have the conditions that he wants going into that particular club. I mean, it's no coincidence that since Wenger left, the running the club has been left to other people, and they've made a total mess of it, Nathan.
How big a concern is that then for Arteta going in? Because you'd have to assume that structure in terms of signing players and how the club is run is going to remain. They're the people who are deciding to give Mikel Arteta the job. They're looking for a coach who will coach players and not necessarily maybe get involved in that side of things the way that managers traditionally would have. If he doesn't have full control over the signings, is he on a bit of a hiding to nothing right from the off?
Well, if he's not getting to control that he wants, Nathan, he shouldn't take the job. He's got a job at Manchester City. It seems to be a good job. So I'd say he knows the game well enough. He can get advice from Guardiola, no better man to get advice from, on what conditions that he has to insist upon. Now, if he's gone on and insisted on conditions that he's not going to get, then he'll pay the price himself. And that's his decision. So he has. I think there's a lot of negotiating going on. But what you might find that the owners or whoever's been involved, in charge of what's coming in and what's going out of the club, they have to hold their hands up, Nathan. Yeah. They have to realise that we're not able to do this job. They got Emery in, but Emery wasn't in charge of that. I think that's generally agreed. So if Arteta is talking to them and they say to him, look, we insist on doing what we have been doing for the last 6 months, then it's very, very easy for him to say, I'm sorry, I don't have the tools to do the job. I'm not taking it.
On what he walks into at Arsenal, so we were there covering the game at the Emirates last Sunday, and they were absolutely battered by Manchester City. It was so easy at times for City. 1 win in 12 matches. When you look at that squad, do you see a squad that a good manager can come in and turn into a good team? Or does it look like a group of players that needs a huge turnover, that players need to leave, that he needs to bring in quite a lot of players if they're to be a success? I think
it needs a lot of players, Nathan. I mean, if you look at the players that they have there, you're starting with Ozil, Xhaka, one or two others, they're just not good enough. And there's a big job to be done there. They've got themselves in a right mess, Arsenal, whoever's been in charge, but I don't think the manager, I repeat myself, I don't think the manager's been in charge, but these are people who got rid of Wenger, who had been in charge for a number of years and couldn't wait to get their hands on it. And you can see now what that's led to. It's a mess. It's a total mess. And there's a big job to be done there. And it's just a big job. I mean, there's some teams you can look at and say, well, there's quite a few good young players there, or there's a few good players. I don't see that at Arsenal at all. They're very poor at the back. Midfield, nothing. Good strikers. They've got some very, very good strikers. But I'd say they need at least 5 or 6 new players, decent, good players to come in there, Nathan.
Yeah, the midfield is interesting in that they started with Guendouzi and Torreira at the weekend. Guendouzi's 20, Torreira's 23, who at times have looked promising over the last 18 months. And you just wonder what they're being coached and what the atmosphere and what's been taught in that dressing room in terms of professionalism and how to handle themselves, and whether a figure like Arteta, who is a quality midfielder himself, can turn that round, if actually a little bit of positive influence can create players of the calibre that Arsenal need of the likes of Guendouzi and Torreira.
Well, Arteta can only do so much, but you have to get rid of Ozil and Xhaka. You have to get rid of these guys, Nathan. They're not good enough. They're not going to do it. And in fact, they're the older players who should be shown, the younger players, like the players you mentioned there, how to play and encourage them to do it. They're not capable of doing it themselves. Ozil he's just not good. Well, he's a talented lad, but you hear on his day and when he turns it on and all that, good players don't do that. They do it week in and week out. Effort, anyway, week in and week out. Arsenal don't have that. And you got Guendouzi and the other lads you mentioned there, who are young players. They should be looking forward. It's Ozil and Xhaka and these guys should be showing them the way. You know, Arteta can only do so much. He's not going to be on the pitch with them. He can't influence them. But they've got to get experienced players or good players on the pitch itself, and then they can get better. But you're expecting the young players to be doing it, and the older players are not doing it.
Ozil's obviously an incredibly frustrating player. Like watching him the last day, when you see him at his peak and he can control a game and he floats around the place and is full of lovely touches and bringing the best out of others, but those games seem to be few and far between.
I haven't seen him do it for Arsenal, Nathan,
at all.
Ever. I tell you, when I gave up on them, and there was a couple of years ago they were playing at Liverpool, and I think they were winning 2-1 or 2-0, and Liverpool got level with 15 minutes to go. And when Wenger was in charge, Wenger subbed Ozil. Now, that's the time when you need a real player on the pitch, Nathan, to get a grip of the game when it really matters. You know, once you hear about Ozil, when he's in the mood, when he turns it on, when he does that. It's like when you talk about, say you go back to Roy Keane, for example, and you're talking about the ultimate in attitude, week in and week out. Didn't play well every week, but week in and week out, attitude was great. That's what great players do. They don't have on their day. They play better some days than other days, but it's talking about approach and effort, Nathan. And if you don't have that, you play in a big match with Ozil, for example, on next Saturday in a big match, you don't know what he's going to do. You can't depend on him. You know, you might say, well, he might turn it on today. You don't live with players like that. You get rid of them as soon as you possibly can. And Xhaka's not far behind him either.
All right.
Mkhitaryan, another one.
Yeah, there's a
got too many of them,
long list.
Nathan. So Arteta has a big job to do, but he has to insist on the owners. I need the finances to do this, to change it round. If I don't get them, I'm not coming in, because he'd finish up another failure, Nathan. If you start on those conditions and he doesn't insist on what he wants and needs, he won't do the job, and he'd be sacked. So he might as well not take the job in the first place.
All right, we shall take a very quick break, John. I do want to talk about Manchester City's performance in that game and about Carlo Ancelotti at Everton, but quick break.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power, the greatest football partnership since Shearer and Owen.
On Alive and Kicking this weekend, I talked to author and podcaster Caroline Foran on what to do when you just don't feel it's the most wonderful time of the year. I meet the incredible soon-to-be 70 David Brady. He hit 900 marathons in 2019 and plans to make it 1,000 in 2020. And Una O'Hagan on going from intern in Mars Pharmacy to the MD and how giving back is one of her main focuses.
Alive and Kicking with Claire McKenna.
This Sunday from 9 a.m.
on News Talk.
Take comfort in a brilliant choice.
At Citroën, our cars are designed to suit every lifestyle, like the Citroën C3. It's as unique as you are.
Take comfort in great offers.
With representative 0% APR finance across the range.
Take comfort in whichever one you choose at your nearest Citroën dealer, or find out more at citroen.ie.
Finance made by way of a hire purchase agreement. Finance eligibility criteria, T's and C's apply.
Spoil your guests this festive season with our new Inspired by Centra savoury party food range. Choose from our award-winning goat's cheese bruschetta, luxury mini pizzas, succulent pigs in blankets and roasted red pepper vol au vents. Mix and match any two for €7 until January 1st. Centra. Live every day.
All you need this Christmas is carry-out off-licence. Make your money go further with our incredible deals on box beers, multi-pack cans and wines from all over the world. Plus our amazing Eastern European selection, such as the fantastic Perla beer range, now in stock. Fill your cupboard for less this festive season. Carry out off-licence. Simply better wines and beers. Simply better value. Enjoy alcohol responsibly. Visit drinkaware.ie.
This Sunday, it's Tottenham v Chelsea in a real Christmas cracker. And with Now TV, you can watch all the action live for a one-off payment of just €10. Hold on, they're checking with VAR.
That's confirmed, it's €10.
What a game changer. So, to only pay for the games that matter to you, grab a Now TV Sky Sports Day Pass. Search Now TV Sports. 18 plus, content streamed via internet, full terms apply.
Last minute gift idea? The Press Up gift card can be enjoyed all year round in over 50 bars, restaurants, cinemas and hotels like the Devlin, Doolally, Sophie's, the Stella, Tomahawk, Elephant and Castle, the Grayson, Captain America's Family Restaurant, plus many more. Digital vouchers are now available online at pressup.ie or pick up a gift card in any Press Up venue.
It's not too late to get them a gift they'll really love from Harvey Norman, with stores open until 10 p.m. tonight. Great deals like the LG 50-inch smart TV, now just €439, saving €190. Let them instantly snap every moment this Christmas with the Instax Mini 9 instant camera, now only €70, save 19. Plus enjoy free mince pies and Bosch Tessimo hot chocolate while you shop. Share the joy this Christmas with Harvey Norman. All stores open until 10 p.m. tonight.
Give a 5-star gift this Christmas. Give the gift of Castlemartyr Resort. Whether it's a luxurious spa day, golf experience, afternoon tea or breakaway, we'll make it memorable and you'll make their Christmas. Buy online now at castlemartyrresort.ie.
Football on Off the Ball.
You're welcome back. John Giles is live on the line, 53106 if you have any text numbers. Just before we leave that game, John, Kevin De Bruyne obviously scored a couple of goals, and I know you've been frustrated at times over the last few weeks about his attitude. Was there something different in his performance last weekend?
Yeah, it's just attitude. He has the ability. He was brilliant last week. I mean, the goals he scored, the goal he made, he was excellent. And I'm not saying he can do that every week, but I find him a bit he gets a bit sour. He gets onto the people around him. And he has the ability, Nathan, there's no doubt about it, but you want to get the attitude that he had a couple of years ago. He's a bit sort of temperamental, a bit sulky. He gives a bad pass and he's throwing his hands up at his colleagues and that. But you could do without. He has the ability. He's absolutely brilliant. And Saturday, again, he turned it on. But there's a few matches this season when they needed him most and he wasn't there. But Saturday, Manchester City against the poor Arsenal team were excellent. They tore him to bits, and it was an exhibition match for them. And De Bruyne was at the centre of that.
When you have a player of his quality, and when he's at his best, is up there with the very best in the Premier League. Like as a teammate, if he's doing that and he's throwing his arms up in the air and he's sort of looking for people to blame, do you just accept it? Do you just get on with it and go, well, this guy's going to save us more often than he's going to cost us? No, it comes back to the manager, Nathan. It comes back to the manager. And I'm surprised that Guardiola putting up with it. And I've often said, well, I might have said to you on occasion, different people, I could not imagine Klopp standing for that at all. There's no way Klopp at Liverpool would stand for De Bruyne doing what he's doing at times. No way. With his attitude? Yes. No way. That's one thing that's great about Klopp. I think they're all scared stiff of him. I think Guardiola hasn't got a grip of De Bruyne. It definitely hasn't. And Klopp wouldn't stand for it. And I'm surprised that Guardiola is standing for it. When you look at a performance like that, from Guardiola's point of view, is it hard to make a stand against De Bruyne then? No, because it's only every so often, Nathan. You know what wins you championships and has won it for Liverpool and City over the years is a consistency of performance. And that all you have asking the players is do of their best. And some players are not as gifted as others, but they're doing the best that they possibly can. Again, I'll go back to Roy Keane. I don't think Roy Keane was one of the great gifted players. But by God, week in, week out, when they were up against it, you knew what you were going to get from him. Now, in De Bruyne's case, you know what you're going to get, which is brilliant. But are you going to get it? And if the manager's not telling him and insisting and getting onto him for doing that, his colleagues can't do it. You might get one or two say, come on and that, but then you lose a team spirit, you lose everything that's going. And it's just not right. We know what he can do, and why is he not doing it? Is that attitude, is that a recent thing? Was that there when Vincent Kompany was captaining the side? 2 years ago, he was the best midfield player in Europe, in my opinion. And since then, he got a couple of injuries. Hasn't been the same player, Nathan. Now, maybe Kompany or one of the older players could get a grip of him or get him on the pitch. But he just looks temperamental. He's putting his hands up. It's always somebody else's fault. Not chasing back when he should be chasing back. I'm surprised Guardiola's living with him because it's costing Guardiola, definitely. That position he played last week seemed to be slightly, and maybe like there is definitely a question over that game against Arsenal as to how much you can read into it, considering how poor Arsenal were. But he seemed to be given a bit more of a free role behind the attackers, behind Jesus. Like, is that his best position? I know you said before sometimes he gets lost a little bit too far up the pitch. Like, should you just let him do what he wants?
I wouldn't be worried about his position, Nathan. I'd be more worried, well, not me, it's nothing to do with me. I'd be concerned if I was the manager about his attitude. Not the position he plays. If you see him playing and he's given everything he's got, say playing left-hand side midfield, and you say, well, not his best position, but he's having a go at it. But I've seen him play in various positions that he played in 2 years ago where he was absolutely brilliant. I think he could be brilliant in any position, to be quite honest. It's not the positional sense that I'm criticising for. It's his attitude in whatever position he plays in.
Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about Everton and Carlo Ancelotti going in there as manager. It does seem like quite a coup when you look at the CV that Ancelotti's had and the calibre of clubs and the success he's had, particularly at Champions League level down through the years. But the debate with Ancelotti, he's often been seen as a manager who's very good at getting the best out of very good players, that he sets players free, that maybe he's not the great tactical coach. How do you see him getting on at a club like Everton?
I think I would agree with the comment you made there, Nathan. I think he's more gifted, or would be more gifted, and has been more successful with taking over good players. I think he gives them freedom to play and do it. Now, whether he can build a team, and there's a lot of building to be done at Everton, is a different day's work altogether, Nathan. I'd be a bit sceptical about him. I think what he's done over the years has been brilliant. He's won a lot of big trophies. He's a lot of big clubs. But I can't remember him being at a club that he's built up from the position that Everton are in. Maybe I could be wrong because I never. No, it isn't to a club like that. I would certainly have my doubts about it.
In a way, the story coming out about him being one of the 3 best paid managers in the world. Maybe Everton supporters are happy with that level of ambition, or maybe actually it sums up why Ancelotti is attracted to the job rather than the task at hand, and maybe just the money side is a little bit more important.
Well, I can see it from Everton's point of view. Again, the owner seems to be very, very keen. I think he wanted a big signing. You know, there's a difference between a big signing and the correct signing. And again, any manager going into, I think Henry Gottman said, I'd hate to put my life on it, picking any manager to be successful. I mean, his CV is great, but he's been with big clubs and he's won the Champions League a few times with different clubs, which is great. But again, and looking back in his career, I can't ever remember him taking over a club in Everton's position that needs a lot of hard work on it for young players to come through and all the various things. I mean, he went to Chelsea when they had a lot of good players and did remarkably well, and other clubs. But again, you know, is he the right man to go into Everton to do what needs to be done? I have my doubts, Nathan.
Yeah. For Liverpool this week, they're over in Qatar playing in the Club World Cup. It meant that they played 2 games in the space of 2 days, and they put out a load of youngsters against Aston Villa and were beaten 5-0 in the Carabao Cup. You won a League Cup with Leeds United back, I think, when it was still very much a very important tournament. It's been downgraded somewhat over the years, but was what happened this week a little bit ridiculous?
I think so. To be quite honest, I'd have to ask, what are Liverpool doing over there, Nathan?
Well, I don't think they have any choice in going to the Club World Cup. The European champions, whoever wins the Champions League.
Yeah, but do they have to go?
I think that I can't imagine that they could have pulled out of it.
I don't know, but I think they had to play the kids, and the kids for a long time did well, as we know, against Villa. You know, but they've gone out of the competition. We could have been going into the semi-finals of the League Cup, being one of the favourites to win it. I'm not so sure you have to go, but it's a money thing, Nathan.
Well, look, there's no question that there's a lot of money.
Could they get out of it? I don't know. Are they going for the money? You know, it seems ridiculous that a club like Liverpool are going to forfeit what was the old League Cup, which is still a big trophy. I know it's not one of the major trophies, but it's still a big trophy. Then go over to play in actually what is a really Mickey Mouse competition. This is a make-up competition away in very far from home. To be playing in, Nathan, in my opinion. I mean, it's a big money. I'd love to know what Liverpool are getting from us financially. But is it going to be? You know, this is a made-up thing. I mean, are they really going to be the best cup team in the world because they're playing 2 matches?
Yeah.
You know, and they play well and they'll give everything they got. Saw them the other night; they were very good. They got a very good win, and they didn't have all their players playing, which is great. But they did sacrifice the possibility of playing in the semi-final of the Old League Cup.
Yeah. All right, John, we got to leave it there for this year, in fact. I think it'll be the new year before we talk to you again. So happy Christmas and happy New Year.
Christmas to you. Happy New Year and a Happy New Year and Christmas to all the listeners, Nathan.
Great stuff, John. We'll talk to you in 2020.
Yeah, thank you.
Football on Off the Ball.
With Paddy Power. The greatest football partnership since Shearer and Owen.
Christmas Eve or Christmas Day?
Ooh, love Christmas Eve. It's just too cosy and all the goodness has yet to come.
Christmas Eve, my favourite.
Oh, Christmas Eve.